Meeting. Tonight is Wednesday, November 16th. Thank you all for being here. We have an agenda posted. It's been circulated. Are there any proposed changes to that? Sir.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a proposal to change, move up, under old business, move up item C, the digester update, to the first item under old business this evening.
So C becomes A.
So C would become prior to A, correct?
Prior to A, yes.
I can second it.
So, well, thank you, Nancy.
Sure.
And all in favor?
Aye.
That would look to be unanimous. Well, actually, where's Sheila?
Do we have the recorder turned on?
It is recording.
She's WebExing.
Okay.
Okay.
Her husband was in the hospital. So.
Okay. Good luck with that, Sheila.
Hello, Sheila.
Hi, Sheila. We're kind of lost without you, or I am anyways. Okay. First item, bills and communications. Approval of the October 19th regular meeting minutes. Thank you to Joe and Sheila for pulling those together. Motion from Tom to approve, second from Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Second was our special meeting on November 2nd. Thank you for those who made that. Comments, questions? Motion? Motion from Matt, second. Joe, those who were there in favor. Matt, Joe, Mark, Nancy. In favor.
Should I not have voted for the minutes for the meeting I wasn't at?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I did.
That was yeah.
You abstain.
Yeah.
Sheila, take Nancy off the minutes, the original minutes. She's going to abstain.
It was there in spirit.
I was, always, you guys, always.
New business, we have some sewer adjustments tonight. We have, it looks to be 6. I want to thank Joe for taking the lead on these, and he's going to walk us through them.
Okay, so the first one on 470, I was expecting even one of the folks to attend, 73 cents, but I guess they're not going to get you. Okay, a sewer adjustment was requested from 477 Barlow Road. They had a leak, and it was in the wintertime, and the leak caused us to generate a bill that was $7,000. For 477 Barlow Road, basically they've been in the $500 to $600 range the 2 prior years prior to this past season. So I would like to motion to authorize the Fairfield tax collector to adjust the 2021 sewer usage bill for 477 Barlow Road to $587.92. That's derived by taking the prior 2 years, 20 and 19. 19 was $512, 20 was $607, dividing by 2, increasing it by the 5% new rate, and that gives us the answer. And this amount will be subject to potential statutory interest because the resident has not paid any portion of this bill yet.
I think every commission should have a CFO on there.
Yeah.
So that's 587.92, Joe, just so I could live.
That was 587.92. I'll give you my notes. I've got them written.
Yeah, just because he's going to ask me tomorrow.
Yeah.
We don't have a motion on the table, or, I mean, that is
That is
the
the motion on
motion.
the
Okay,
table.
so I'll second it.
Second from Nancy, in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
But I do have just a quick question about it, though. I mean, it doesn't change my support. But did he not pay the first installment? I'm just looking at the interest paid. Did he not pay it because he knew he was challenging it?
Yeah.
So
But when you do that, the tax collector, David, would tell him that
pay that, okay.
pay a portion of it. You'll
Okay.
see in the next, all the others have paid the first portion.
Got it.
And you'll see we're giving them a refund.
Okay.
Okay.
785 Fairfield?
Okay, so 785 Fairfield Beach Road was a toilet leak. The resident has documented that she had a plumber in, and the plumber did repair the leak. And this 785 Fairfield Beach Road also has not paid. Those are the discussion. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Fairfield tax collector to adjust the 2021 sewer usage bill for 785 Fairfield Beach Road to $673.15, which actually represents the average of the 2019 and the 2020 bill times the new rate. And coincidentally, it's almost the same number as the 2020 bill.
Okay.
And this amount may be subject to statutory interest as the customer has not paid an installment.
I'll second it.
That's 1 penny less than what I calculated, but I'm good with it.
Thank you. Appreciate your flexibility.
Modify the motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Two accounts.
I did it on Excel, but.
Yeah. 22 Beacon
I do
Road.
it in my head.
Beacon.
That's, I know.
He knows I do.
22 Beaconville.
Okay, 22 Beacon View. Oh, it was a water heater issue at 22 Beacon View, a leak in his water heater. I would have loved to have asked him one question, if it's a rental property, because it could be. It looks based on looking at the property, but I will make the motion. I'd like to motion to authorize the Fairfield tax collector to adjust the 2021 sewer usage bill for 2022 Beacon View, to $797.14. Got that, Tom? That is the average of the prior 2 years, prior to this year, which was $480.60 in 2019, but it was $1,037.76 in 2020. So that led me to believe it could be a rental. So he's got the average times 1.5, the 5% rate increase, which is the $797. This gentleman has paid, so continuing my motion, this amount may be subject to, will not be subject to statutory interest, as the customer has paid the first installment, and a refund or an on-account balance at the resident's choice will be issued.
Second it.
Second.
Second from Nancy, in favor? Unanimous.
And, just what does it being a rental property,
I-
owned?
It looks like they had more people in the house. When I see, he said 500, 500, then it goes up to 1,200.
Right,
Something's up, so I take a look at the property, and it could be,
but it doesn't impact what we do?
no, it
Okay.
doesn't impact it, it's just that it
Okay.
could have been. I just
Got it.
wanted to point it out to the commission.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're moving on to the hockey.
No,
Adjustments without repair?
773 Sasko Hill
Oh,
isn't
I-
hockey.
No?
No, I don't
You're
think so.
right. No?
No, she was gonna come tonight,
flipped
too.
it.
She
These
didn't.
are just without documentation.
Right. So, 73 Sasko,
Yeah.
did you call it?
Yes, sir.
73 Sasko Hill, to make it, was a leak, okay, it, was a pipe leak, and I would like to motion to authorize the Fairfield tax collector to adjust the 2021 sewer usage bill for 73 Sasko Hill Road to the minimum of $150, which is consistent with prior years. This resident has been paying the $150 for the last 4 or 5 years. She's a senior in our town, and the minimum bill is what I'm recommending. I don't know whether she is, I'm gonna leave the rest of it, I'm gonna leave it at that. Leave the motion at that. We'll let David handle the refund if she's paid it.
I assume that's effectively a fixed charge.
That's the fixed charge, the minimum fixed charge.
Right.
The $150.
That's what I thought when I saw it, okay.
Right, that's the minimum fixed charge that,
Yep,
you know, if we're under, and I can't remember the number anymore, if the usage of a house is under 75 CCF?
75, I think
I think we raised it 2 years ago, then if you don't get over that average, it's the minimum,
Yep.
150.
okay.
I'll second it.
Because we'll get there in a second on the next one.
Second from
the
Nancy,
next
all in
average.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So 150.
Unanimous.
150.
And so for all of these, if they don't provide repair documentation, then it's gonna come to us even if it's under 2,000?
David's uncomfortable, the tax collector's uncomfortable making the
Okay.
adjustment. We authorized him 2
Understood,
meetings
yeah.
ago to make anything
Right,
under
no.
$2,000, but these, he said he was uncomfortable when I talked to him. So,
Okay.
Because they didn't provide the documentation.
Because, yeah, there were no fixes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last one is the Barry Scott I'll get to it, but the daughter fixed the problem, it was just the thing in the toilet.
Okay.
Okay.
But wait, on Sasko Hill, the water meter was,
The water meter was, there was no fix. Aquarian got in on that one. They saw that the woman had a leak, she wasn't home, and they turned it off. So it was Aquarian fixing it theoretically on it. So there was no payment to,
Understood.
plumber. That was
Okay.
the problem, that was the issue with that one.
okay.
Hockey rink, 118, is it Myron?
Myron. Okay, so this one's a little different. This one, the folks just bought the house this year. The hockey rink has been in play, so to speak, for years gone by. They fill the hockey rink every winter, and we make an adjustment for the hockey rink because it's filled in the winter months. And what happened is there was no adjustment made on the closing statement for these folks when they bought the house. So naturally, their water usage was up, their sewer usage was up, but these are new homeowners to the house. So what I'm going to do with these folks, and I've chatted with him, and he's accepted this. I've chatted with the new owner. Motion to authorize the Fairfield tax collector to adjust the 2021 sewer usage bill for 118 Myron Street to $509.57, which represents the average use for the Fairfield resident in town.
I'll second it.
What was this property previously paying?
I got a current bill here. Huge number.
No, I know that's the current year, but I'm saying, 'cause didn't you say that the prior
Right.
owner was
Did you have it on
previously
I
getting
didn't write it
adjustments
down.
for the hockey bill? Or for the hockey rink?
Uh,
That's what the
Well,
current.
the current bill
Yeah.
is 1,100
Right.
with an adjustment of.
Right.
But in prior years, you were saying that the
Yeah,
owner
it was in the it was in
constantly
the
just
thousands,
getting an
it was in the
adjustment.
thousands.
They were always paying that?
Yeah.
Oh,
they were using hockey.
Hockey rink.
Yeah, but
Right, I get that.
we do make an adjustment. If he would have come and, if the previous owner would have come, we would have made that adjustment.
oh, I thought you said that the previous owner was coming to make adjustments.
Oh, I'm
in
sorry.
prior years.
No, I didn't mean to say that.
Okay,
New owner.
We've had hockey rink owners come to us, but not
not this
this
particular.
one.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, let's
Okay.
bring it to a vote.
I think I seconded it.
You did indeed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Last one is 293 Barry Scott Road.
Okay, and this is the one, as I alluded to, an elderly woman, her daughter came in and made the fix, so there's no documentation that a plumber came in and fixed it. When we talked to her, their daughter, she said she just untangled the chain in the toilet, which the flap was up, the poor woman was running water and she didn't realize it. So, here, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Fairfield tax collector to adjust the 2021 sewer usage bill for 293 Barry Scott Road to $150, which is the minimum use, which is consistent, by the way, with the prior 2 years at least. I didn't go back any further.
Sure.
And because this amount will not be subject to statutory interest as the customer has paid the first installment, so a refund will be due, or if the customer elects, they can leave the money on account. Resident's choice. That's the motion.
All good.
Second from Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
It's a discussion for a different day, but that is a huge increase with just a little jiggly toilet.
Well, you know,
Runs
we
day and night.
calculate it. Maybe I need to do a real quick one. So, we take the December, January, February, March, and April months from Aquarian. We don't take the whole year, because we don't do the summer months, because of car washing, whatever, et cetera. And we multiply it by 2.4. So she's got a running toilet for a couple of months, and I can look at the Aquarian bill, and that's how we justify it. And you look at the spikes on the Aquarian bill, and then you look at zeros the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what causes it. It's quite
Yes,
expensive to run water.
yeah.
Joe, you did in 12 minutes what could have taken an hour and a half.
Yes.
God bless you.
Thank you.
We got people, we gotta
Yeah,
Get home. They gotta get home.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Stick around.
So, John,
Yes.
as I said, there's one on the
I
backside.
have everything, yep.
Okay, moving on to old business. First item on our modified agenda is the digester update. Let me say a couple things, and then I'm gonna have Joe walk us through kind of the current events as we know them, and then see if there's any comments or questions from our visiting guests tonight. So one thing, Joe and I, when this initially happened, John gave us an immediate heads up. Joe and I went out to the plant. We took a look at the digester, not like as though we knew what we were doing, but we went to the roof and saw that it was, pretty monumental to think that something could blow the top off of a very large cement container that has a bolt about every, 6 inches or so, right? With thanks to Nancy, kind of being the liaison with the first select person's office, is that right? Select one?
No,
It's
I
still
heard from a
selectmen?
constituent, and then I reached out to you by email.
Yeah, okay, so the great thing is Nancy being on the commission, she can liaise with the selectman's office and keep them in the loop of what's going on. Often these kind of operational issues get resolved or dealt with from the kind of head of Department of Public Works, so that's kind of, it's been in their wheelhouse over the last couple of months, but given the order of magnitude, I think it's worthwhile for us to get a bit more involved in the process, and lean on Nancy to hopefully expedite this process through some of the town bodies that we don't have any really influence over, you know, such as purchasing, and, you know, and Board of Finance if we need to go there. So, anything we need to do to get approval to pay for this or to do anything, I'm happy to have a special meeting in order to do that. But Joe, why don't you take the commission through kind of the background, because I know you've done some research on
Okay,
this.
well, all I did was try to put, when I was contacted by a resident, I knew some of the information, I didn't know it all, so now I'm well-versed. So let me just go through the quick timeline. April 2022, right around Easter time, pressure built up in our largest digester, and it caused the, as Mark indicated, the multi-ton lid on that digester to pop, popping the bolts. And what happened is, at that point in time, the town issued a bid request to repair and replace and clean the digester. Repair and clean the digester. Very interesting. I won't go into the detail of the one bid we did get and what happened, but we did get one bid at that point, and that goes back, I think it was August 4th.
Can you just be clear when you say we? You said you put in a bid, is it the
Oh.
commission or the town? I just think that's important for.
We, plant operations, developed a bid through the town purchasing department to repair and clean the digester. Okay,
The only interruption I have, we also filed an insurance claim.
okay, I was gonna get to that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. At that point, one bid was received, and it was for almost $2.7 million. It was opened on August 4th, and the bid was rejected. It was rejected by operations. I believe it was rejected by, at minimum, John Marsilio, the interim director, the finance CFO in town, Jared Schmidt, had involvement. And I think you were at least consulted at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so, give me your names now. So, it was rejected because it was felt that it was way out of line, too high. And they came to the logical conclusion that the cleaning and the repair needed to be separated, because the repair was easy. It was the bolts on top, but they didn't know whether there was internal repair that had to be done. So to determine the internal repair, it had to be cleaned out. Anybody bidding on it was just bidding a large number and taking sort of contingency, saying, hey, we have to bid this much because we don't know what we're facing inside. So operationally, it was decided to split the bid. And a bid went out to do the cleaning of the digester. That's important, and that, you'll see why in a few minutes. Meanwhile, at the same time, John Marsilio, I know, he told me that he recommended that we get an insurance adjuster. I don't know if you made that recommendation to him. I know he made the recommendation that we get the adjuster involved.
Yeah, and our own
And-
independent adjuster,
Right,
correct? Yep.
right. And just so everybody knows, that adjuster went out and got the town from insurance $1 million, and he took his fee, which I think was $52,000 from that. So we do have a pot of money now to go and,
It just one side note, he's not done yet.
excellent,
He's gonna keep going after
Mhm.
as this progresses, so there might be more,
okay.
might be.
But that's where we stand right now. We've collected and meeting more. You want me to hold, or you wanna?
No,
You still good?
Yep.
Okay, so a bid went out, a request through, now it's John and the purchasing department for a bid to clean the digester. We've accepted a bid, and the digester bid was $531,000, the guys that are cleaning it right now.
Correct.
And they started cleaning it last week,
Nope,
Yeah.
October 11th.
October 11th,
Yep.
thank you, and they're supposed to be finished with it next Wednesday. Okay, that's important because there's some other facts around
Can
that.
I ask a point of information at
Yeah.
this point? So, because it's relevant to our, the people who are sitting here from the public. The RTM voted to approve this fund, this pot of money in September.
Mhm.
And so I just wanted to say that for the record, so that they know that the money they approved is actually being used now as part of this process,
Okay,
for the record.
okay. Okay, so now, a couple of relevant, I'll mention them and then I could be, shouted down. Last week, the top of the other digester, the one that wasn't damaged, the hatch on top of that was open. The reason that was opened, I believe, was a chemical was introduced into the process to try, and I'll use your word, knock down the smell that was coming, okay? So last week, I want to make sure of my dates,
Yes,
last week, the hatch of the second digester was opened. In addition, on October 11th, the hatch on the first digester, the one that was damaged, was open. So now we have both digester hatches open, which could potentially cause additional smell. That's, there's two digesters, okay? In addition now, what was introduced was a chemical that was recommended to, take basically the hydrogen sulfide and make it more,
Reduce concentration.
Yeah.
reduce its concentration. And that's basically what we believe is causing the smell, which is what typically you smell around the plant. So this was introduced,
we started that around October,
third week in October.
I know,
Yeah.
like the first week, I thought, right? The chemical was there for about a month, right? And then
yeah,
we just discontinued that.
October, you know what, we started around the same time as we started the cleaning.
Right.
So we started October 11th, we stopped
Right.
November 9th.
Right.
Okay. So, we have these three events happening, and the one thing I'll say about the chemical, I mean, I think you should say it, but it doesn't appear to be working. What the chemical has done, basically, it's created a witch's brew in digester two, and it's the witch's brew is bubbling up and actually has 15 feet in depth when we measured it, and it's bubbling up over the top of the digester. Now, to compensate for that, they're washing it down, but my point is the chemical is not working as
It's actually doing the reverse.
well, I was gonna get to that because John's staff yesterday did an experiment, and they took some of our product, I'm gonna be nice, they took some of our product, introduced the chemical, kept swishing it around overnight to see what would happen, and what happened as of this morning with that.
It turned everything into a foam that's so noxious and so, I mean, for somebody that's been in the business for over 30 years, for me to say it stinks, it's bad.
So,
I mean, it's really bad.
so we've got
The bucket pilot test failed?
failed. That-
Miserably?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Okay.
the bucket failed.
That's good to know.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry to be, but for
Yep.
the layperson, just to be clear for the record, I'm probably turning 10 shades of red, but the
Product.
product refers to the human
Yeah.
waste, just to be
Sludge.
clear,
Sludge.
just so people
Sludge.
are.
You want me to use the word sludge? Sludge. Okay, so over the as the story goes, over the last 3 weeks, both hatches open. The chemical we introduced did not work, and in fact, might be making things worse. And we stopped using it. We know that. And the cleaning, as there's a truck backed in there, and they're cleaning the digester. So we think that that's causing the immediate problem. So let's address that for the moment. The digester, number one, that's damaged, is cleaned out, and it will be finished, that job will be finished by the middle of next week. The hatch will be closed.
Digester one.
The big digester, the 500,
600,000.
600,000.
And just to clarify, John, the hatch on digester one is open while they're working in it, but then closed when they're not, correct?
It's opened,
Or is
It's
it
been
just
open.
continued,
It's
it's just been
continually
continued?
open is what I've been told.
just because there's a cable with their pump and everything else.
Understood,
And-
okay.
And the reason that has to be open is they send somebody in there.
But there's just sand in there right now, so.
Ooh,
Well, I'm sorry,
not when we
there's a
start.
mixture of,
I mean, yes, there's sand.
yeah,
I'll let-
yeah, it's
I'll
sand
let-
and grit.
I'll let the engineer.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Okay,
So one, okay.
okay. Hatch number two, as soon as we clean up that bubbling mess, that hatch will be closed.
Correct.
And it's still open, actually, so just so you know. And I think that's all. The guys will be finished, so that truck will be trucked off with all the product. The ones that clean the digester. The digester, we have pictures now. John's gonna autograph them later, he told me. And,
Free of charge tonight.
and it's like a book signing, it's free tonight, but it'll be more. So, those are the events that we're seeing, okay? Okay? I did drive down your block, I talked to the guys that are building the house next door to you, as I think, to see how they were feeling. They're smelling it, you know, there was no doubt that the smell is around the plant and moving. So
Can I ask some questions?
Yeah, well, that was, I think, it. Oh, the other thing is, a new bid is happening right now. We're bidding out now for the cleaning, for the repair of digester one.
That will go out on the 22nd.
And, yep, that will be completed by November 22nd. The bid return date is anticipated to be December 13th. And then once we get that bid back, then, we will be able to go to our town bodies and get approval for the amount of money we need to start the process. I will admit one complication is cold weather concrete. We have to be careful with fixing bolts with concrete, wintertime. Typically, we don't do too much in the winter, but that is in the bid, and we're going to try to see how to expedite this repair so that it's repaired properly and the concrete sticks. And then, that's
Why don't we
that's all
pause
I've
for a
gotten.
few
Let me,
questions?
let the rest of the,
One thing that I wanted to bring, I mean, so if, assuming that the specified cold weather concrete is acceptable and passes compression strength and stuff, then wouldn't it behoove us to try to get the funding in place as quickly as possible, because that's gonna be the bottleneck for starting
That's an excellent point.
the
Mhm.
construction. So like, do we actually have to wait, and forgive me for not totally understanding how funding actually works, but
None of us do.
do we have to wait until we receive the bids, or can we try to go out in advance?
well, what we do with the bid, I mean, you
That's
can
what I was-
explain it, we try to get an amount,
Right,
so we could get it in. front.
understood.
I just wondered, to your point, is it worth it to sort of say
Not to exceed.
not to exceed this
Exactly.
amount, just
I
so that we can,
think
because
we
I
should
think
do that as soon
probably
as
we should, because
possible.
we, by the way, have a Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday.
So what's the
Okay.
process?
So the process
If
is,
we were to
this
approve
commission
funding
has to approve
So can we do that tonight, or, okay?
Yeah, it sounds like another special
I think it needs a
Yeah,
special
special
meeting
meeting.
because we don't
Okay.
know what
Sorry.
we would be
Fine.
voting on, but it could be
Do
a
another-
phone
It's an
call.
excellent point though, Matt. It's an
So-
excellent point.
We need to approve it, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, that's the way it's gotta go.
So us,
And-
Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance?
Yeah, and I can't imagine that the
Yeah.
administration would want to delay, given,
Exactly.
Oh, no, Brenda has come to us and
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
get it
well,
to her.
wait.
I mean, there's no question about that one,
so,
you know, since we get to.
sorry, I didn't mean.
By the time it goes through, I think we're probably talking January, February, and that's really cold.
Which is why,
Yeah.
if
I
we
mean,
expedite
It's hard
it.
I think cold weather concrete, you mix it with antifreeze or something like that, it's still kind of tough to.
I think there's some kind of cold weather protocol for
Yeah.
concrete, so.
I think it's an additive and potentially extra time.
Right.
Not more time than waiting
Well,
until the spring.
we buy 6-8 weeks if we do it in
Exactly.
advance,
Right,
at the least.
exactly.
Yeah, the engineers will figure that out. We
Right,
can,
right.
we can special meeting the approval for the dollar amount in the next week or so.
Well, Board of Selectmen is next Monday.
Well, it's like every,
There's one next Monday.
There's
and then
Monday and then December 5th.
December 5th.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so we do that while the bid package is going out. I'm impressed how quickly the bid package is going out.
Yeah.
Well, it's being expedited, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because of the situation.
Dennis and Christine hopped on that and they got it together.
Okay, so if we get approval before December 5th, then it can go to the Board of Selectmen. We don't even have bids back until a week later, so we're ahead.
And by the way, I imagine, again, given the series, like, even if we had to do a special Board of Selectmen meeting, I certainly don't set the agenda, but
Right.
for something that,
Yeah, okay. So we'll get that, that'd be a nice Thanksgiving week special meeting to have. We'll do that. Nancy, you had a question?
I just have some points of, like, things I just would like clarification on, and then later, just a process question about how we get this information to the administration, whether it's through you, through me, or what the best process is. Something I just want to reiterate that I think is worth saying, that this is kind of the normal cost of doing business, correct? I mean, it sounds like we have machinery, I think we even talked about this being like a used car, and you're kind of always,
Yeah?
it's just the normal order of doing business, and sometimes communities, municipalities choose to clean them in advance. You know, I think a point was made that it hadn't been cleaned in a long time. Some municipalities never clean them, just as a decision based on lots of good stuff. Is that correct?
Same thing happened to the Philadelphia Water Department 2 or 3 years ago. but
Okay.
It was a 10X.
Right, so I don't think that's a point we need to
So,
stick on, that
right.
because
Yeah.
some municipalities wouldn't ever clean it,
I mean,
you
it's
choose the money.
$a $500,000 every time you wanna clean it.
Okay, so you're almost like being more reactive rather than, in a good way here, when you measure the metrics. And then just in terms of, because I know this has come up, I do know that the health department met on this and reiterated that for reasons that SANS issued a statement on it, not a public statement, but wrote that the levels were well below, the board met, so I just wanted to state that also. And I don't know if anyone has anything to add there, but I just think that for people who are paying attention, it's nice to say that again.
They are initiating testing
Here you go.
around the plant, around the neighborhoods and everything else.
Right, HRP, an environmental firm, has been engaged to, do testing, as John said.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the elephant in the room being, we've been burdened with other, real significant issues, and this is not that. So
This is normal.
exactly, and I
Normal
just feel like
operating
it's
issue.
important to acknowledge it. So just some of the questions I have around the specifics. Digester 1, the bolt damage is what caused the hatch to lift, or we opened the hatch because we're pumping it out, or it's not relevant?
Gas.
Pressure built up in the digester, and the pressure blew the lid off the digester. That lid is held down by bolts. Those are the bolts that got blown.
And a pressure system, is that kind of a normal system, or at some point is it worth talking about switching systems so that,
All digestible.
it's all this way.
It's a part of the chemical process.
okay, so it's just, again, and then there was damage to digester 2 that happened,
No.
there was no
There's
damage, it's just like,
The chemical
the chemical
was put in to try to knock
bubbled.
down the smell on digester 2.
And the reason the hatch was open was to prevent damage from happening.
got it, okay,
If we left that closed,
Got
then
it,
that could have.
The pressure from that bubbling up could have blown the other top.
got it. So it sounds like lots of smart eyes are on this and a process in place. I think I would just wanna know, and at some point, whether it's tonight, just the best way to communicate kind of where we're at and next steps and how we best do that. So, yes, I'm a liaison on the Board of Selectmen, but it also, in the normal course of business, if this is something that's being communicated to the administration, cool.
John, what's the?
I can communicate to Brenda to say that we're gonna have a special meeting next week, we're gonna get some funding available so it starts to go. I don't think she'll have a problem with that, and if she does, I'll let you all know.
And,
I would just caveat that by saying that the process in place is really the process that we've talked about for years in terms of streamlining an
Yeah.
approval process for new projects. So this is a great example of that. The special meeting is just to get the funding in lockstep to that
Mhm.
process. So, it's a subtle difference, but the process that has been undertaken is terrific. It's a nice change, that we're not being held up by purchasing or somebody else the way we have in the past. That we have on-staff engineers who can get engaged. We didn't have that before. So there's a lot of good things going on here. And it's easy enough for us to have a special meeting to approve the use of our money for the other bodies, the other boards to consent to. And just the last thing, having dealt with insurance companies, they don't pay out on claims if it's user fault. They don't do that. So the fact that we got $1 million is I think, testament.
And worth underlining, because that is a great point.
Yeah,
And we might not be done, as Jared told me, he
that's
said
the minimum, yeah.
the adjuster's still going after him, and if there's more to get, he'll get it.
yeah, he's on permission, he'll get it if there's any to get. Let me ask John one question, and then I think you should open it up. John, now that the digester has been almost cleaned out, are you seeing any damage inside?
From the pictures that We Care took, very little.
Yeah, that's the good news. I just wanted to get that on the record also.
Really
The
good.
good news is, that pressure, looks like it went up, didn't
I
affect
noticed
any
that
of the
too,
pipes.
yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And I'm a finance guy, you're the engineer.
I don't know, Joe. You're moving quickly.
John brings me to the plant every day.
It was a pleasant surprise to see the condition inside, honestly.
Any more questions from the commission before we go to the public?
Yeah, I'm just curious, and again, because it's a learning curve for me, the pressure buildup, if that's a thing, how do we avoid it so it doesn't happen, or is that something to talk about?
Outstanding question, I answered that question.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah,
Thanks.
there is nothing we can do to, as John explained to me, rags and other things get into that mechanism, and that's what causes it. What we can do is measure.
There was a pressure transducer in there, it was 20 years old, whether it worked or not, but we're gonna put a brand new one in there.
Right.
We can monitor the level of the tank. If the level of the tank predetermined by us gets to a danger zone, we shut feed to it, we shut the gas mixing off to it, and we avoid this again. So that's one of the things.
And then you open to relieve, so you can.
Then we have to figure out why do we have an overpressure? There's one outlet pipe. There's one outlet pipe that lets the liquid go. If that plugs off, the liquid can't go, and it just builds up. And you've got gas mixing in there, and it just compounds, and then.
Isn't the gas a byproduct of the breakdown of the material
Absolutely.
by the bacteria?
Right. As the sludge breaks down, it makes gas, we mix with it,
Right,
we heat the tank with it,
right.
and then we heat a few buildings with it as well.
And it would seem, or is it true to say that this process then would help offset the need to be cleaning it in a certain way?
What process to offset?
What you just
What you
explained,
just described.
looking for the pressure buildup, releasing the pressure buildup.
You still should clean it every 10 years. I mean, I don't know what the exact guideline is, but stuff gets through the system. Rags get through the system, sand gets through the system.
Which is just counter to what we were just saying, so I think we need to,
What's
Cause
count?
I just said that you don't need to clean it, some municipalities don't.
Every 10 years, we'll clean the digester, I think is what we've discussed.
I don't wanna go through this ever again.
Right.
So as long as I'm the superintendent, I'll be here every 8 years going, hey, we need to clean it, hey, we need to clean it, hey, we need to clean it. Now, whether we do or not, I agree, other towns don't do it. Groton had the same issue. I don't know if they cleaned it, they popped their lid. Danbury did the same thing.
Philadelphia.
So I guess and I mean, I'm supportive of that, but my question to you would be, would you prefer it to be, or should it be just a strictly every 10 years, or should it be based on the amount of pressure that's built up? Like, I mean, should we be more proactive replacing pressure gauges and then cleaning the tanks based on a certain
I think the transducer
pressure?
part,
Yeah,
the one that monitors the level in the tank,
like that was probably.
that's
failed,
probably,
so.
that's key.
Right,
That's key,
exactly.
because if you can see the level coming up, you know you got a problem.
Right.
And you can stop and you can, so perhaps the pressure transducer replaced every 5 years, and then you determine
Right.
the cleaning according to that. And,
I just think that might be a better, I mean, like, that's a key piece of equipment,
Yeah.
I think, within the digester that should probably
And
be
that's something-
replaced as frequently as it needs to.
and that's something we added way back when, after the initial upgrade.
Right,
The engineer set the level wrong, and we actually busted out 2 sets of bolts. So putting that transducer piece
Right.
in there is key to not having this problem ever again.
I don't have any other.
You're still with us?
I don't know if we could ask questions, a question.
We're very informal,
Okay.
yeah.
A question, Doreen Herron, 53
Hi,
Forest
Doreen.
Avenue. A question I had is, thank you so much for the explanation. I really appreciate you trying to expedite it, because I don't know, I'm curious for Friday night, after living here 20 years, it was the most wretched smell I've ever smelled for outside on Friday night. And it was moist and it was dark, but then the next morning, it was gone. So I was curious, is that just a function of shutting the door, or did something happen between Friday and Saturday?
Or the wind direction.
I think with the.
I think it was, but I feel like it was even more that, like, something happened between Friday and Saturday, and as a bystander, it seems.
Nothing glaringly comes to mind. The only thing I can think of is, the remnants of the hurricane, the southeast wind pushed it, the heaviness of the air. I mean, because we didn't really change any operational stuff between Friday and Saturday. I'm glad you got relief. I wish I could say it was something we did, but
Got it.
I don't think so.
And then is it something that you envision until it gets cleaned up, that it'll be just waves of it, or overall stench, or, like, how do you see it? Just because when it's bad,
It's bad.
it's bad.
My hope is, once we get this chemical out of the secondary digester, because it really is causing a problem. The sludge is normally a pH of 7, which is kind of neutral. Right now, it's at a 4, which is just unheard of. So I think once everything gets back to a neutral point, the really bad stench should come down, and it should be it shouldn't be as wavy. It might be a little more stable, but I'm hoping it's stable and at a lower.
And is there, like, a means for the community? I know in the past, living close to the water treatment facility, that in the past, like, we would even just call up and the people would be like, oh yeah, we'll shut a door, and if they would fix it. Like, they were very responsive to control the smell. Is that something should we be doing that if it gets extra bad? To contact anyone, or no, just we're riding this out?
You can call. I'll gladly answer. I can.
Is that the best
Yeah,
way to just?
yeah.
John, how long does it take to go from a 4 to a 7, and when can you close the hatch on 2?
We've been trying to add lime to kind of bring the pH up. It's not doing it.
Okay.
It's not doing it. So we're just trying to add sludge to it. We're trucking some out, but we're adding just to try and slowly bring everything to a neutral point. I don't know how long that's gonna take.
And when can you close the hatch?
As soon as the foaming calms down,
Yeah.
we can close it.
And will that take care of much of the stank?
It'll take care of some of it. Because
So you stopped adding about a week-ish ago, right?
the 9th.
Today's the 16th.
Yeah, so about,
7
okay,
days.
yeah, exactly, a week. And so the retention time, obviously, is not as accurate in digester two as one because there's no mixers.
Correct.
But roughly, it's a 20 to 25-day retention time. So
We're
theoretically, all of the sludge that has the chemical added to it within 20 to 25 days would be out of there, or at least concentrations.
Minus.
Every single day will be significantly reduced.
we're trucking some out,
That
and
would help even more.
we're trucking some out, so we're not putting as much in, and we're trying to take out a little more each day,
Right.
so we're
So
trying
you
to,
should be better than
2
that
weeks.
20-ish, yeah,
trying to
exactly.
move
Yeah, I'm
it.
just thinking, you know, Thanksgiving being a week away, can we try to expedite to get this?
We'll run extra, yeah.
One question for you, when did the odor get like really bad? Has it been like the past month or?
Well, it always kind of since I've lived here, it's always
Right.
gone in waves.
Sure,
But then
yeah.
it's usually very temporary, but it's been more constant recently.
Yeah.
But Friday night for me was, whoa.
Right,
So then, and then other people were online talking about it, and it was like, okay, this isn't just me, my nose, you know,
Yeah, right.
this is an issue. And then people were talking about filling us in on the digester issue, and so it was more just to get an understanding of, because I hadn't been following it before.
right.
So really, the smell for me hit ahead at Friday, and now we're back. Since Friday, for me, it's been like how it normally comes in waves of.
Okay.
So we gotta get the hatch closed.
But like between April and September, was it like worse than prior to April?
For me, the smell wasn't worse, but it was more often.
Okay. I was just curious if digester one going down had an intensified smell.
I know some residents did, but for me personally, I didn't
Okay.
smell that it was worse. It's
Right.
just that it was more frequent.
Okay.
Wasn't there an issue?
Yes,
No.
it blew its top at Easter, around Easter time.
April
Yeah.
24th.
Well, it didn't blow its top. I mean, it's not like it's open.
No,
It's
it's just full.
it's not secure.
It hasn't been in operation.
Right.
Yeah,
Covered.
that's not the problem. I don't think that's the.
Yeah,
No, it
I think
doesn't.
you have to explain that piece of it, because I didn't understand it either. It's not like in April, we
It's not-
stopped.
Yeah, no, it didn't lift the top off. It's just not, it's not
It's not
secure.
super tight.
The cover,
And the latch isn't open, but there was another issue, wasn't there in the warehouse with the sludge, wasn't there an issue that could have caused the smell? What was the part that $500,000 part?
the compost,
Yeah, the compost.
that was broke down, but the stuff just stockpiled in the building.
Okay, so by its stockpiling in the building, so there's a building in front, and that's where compost goes to kind of get super hot to kill the bugs. And then the gas or the air from that gets piped out and it goes up through those wood chips. And if that process isn't carefully managed and monitored, that creates a lot of smell as well. For a guy who goes to the dump 3 or 4 times a week, I'm really aware of it.
There was a problem. I don't think there was much more smell coming from that. It could have been. But there's outside wall blowers, and we're trying to temper them down a little bit to kind of contain it more and not send so much out, especially after hours. Just trying to keep as much in as we can to help some. I don't know if it does or not, but.
Thank you. My only other question was if there was a timeline on when we might get the results for the air quality testing?
The health department's getting someone, I don't know how quick they're gonna get here, but as soon as they secure that and as soon as they start, we will find out from them how long it'll take to get the results.
Can we post that on our website or on the health department website?
I think Sands was going to send something out once he got.
And I would just say that perhaps part of our update or your update to the administration is that people are asking about that, and so maybe as part of the agenda for next week, if this would be a good thing as a brief update
Okay.
for the health testing.
Yeah, I think because I think when people smelled how bad the smell was, it was almost like, okay, what am I walking into? Forget about the smell.
Yeah,
What is this?
yeah.
So then it was the health concern.
Dorian?
It seems like you can smell the chemicals in the air. Right around that is what it smells like fertilizer.
It is a different smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the message about no more chemical was received. I mean, it didn't work. It didn't work.
I should also, on behalf of the commission, say, we're sorry. We apologize, we can do better.
No, 'cause I'll tell you, on October 11th, I was walking around with my chest pumped out. I said, listen, we got this odor control stuff, and these people are gonna be so happy. And a month later, I'm sitting here with hat in hand going, we really screwed up, so.
Well,
You didn't accept that.
No, not,
I would push back and say it's not a screw up. You're trying to fix the problem.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
And we know the person who recommended that chemical to us, too.
yes, we
Do
do.
we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We know him very well.
We know him very well.
He's in New York.
We know where he lives.
I know where he lives. I have his phone number.
So my
I don't know
question
that.
is very obvious, but it sounds like what you're saying is once the hatch is the hatch being closed,
Jeez.
is that what will make the odor stop?
I think that closing the
Help a
hatches
lot.
will do a lot.
It'll help.
And so twofold. I mean, one, obviously, just closing the hatch in and of itself traps some of those odors.
Right.
But it also signifies that we are no longer experiencing high foaming in the
Right.
digester,
Right.
which is probably
Exacerbating
the
the whole
biggest
problem.
Right.
cause of the
Right.
worst odors.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to put an asterisk next to Pat Manchese, who's our resident expert here, who spent 30 years in the industry.
You guys have a very good board.
We do,
Thank you.
yeah,
The best.
yeah.
And I had two questions. One is, when you're talking about the cleaning out, and should we be cleaning out or not cleaning out, is this similar to, like, from a resident's perspective, cleaning out your septic tank? Like how they tell you you're supposed to clean out your septic tank periodically? If you don't, you could have big problems down the road. Like, that a good analogy?
It's pretty good.
Well-
Yeah, it is a good analogy.
Except, this is where I'm confused, sorry, and John, the meeting.
Oh, my
Looking
goodness.
at a meeting.
I thought it was really more of a philosophical decision. That's not the right way to say it, because I thought there were municipalities who don't clean, who do things like check the pressure and who check, because cleaning it is $1 million endeavor.
I was wondering the same thing, so it's, what's in your septic tank is just sludge. What's in the digester, if it was just sludge, then there wouldn't be a problem. But because of being on a coastal community, we get a lot of sand and other grit, and that's what causes the problem.
Oh,
So you wouldn't have to clean it if it was just pure sludge.
oh.
Just for point of reference, here's the bottom of the tank.
Yeah, but you're not getting
One of the
rags
pipes.
in
I mean,
your
that's the amount of
Unless they
sand.
flush them.
Oh, my gosh.
But I'm also pushing back on the notion that,
Yeah.
like, and again, it's
Okay.
history, but that, like, there was some,
No takers?
But Nancy, to me, that's
they
the
wanna
road
go
of
to-
like finding fault with someone.
but that's what I'm trying to push
Yeah,
back against.
Yeah, and I don't wanna go down that road.
Okay.
That-
I agree.
We haven't seen anything where someone's at fault. We have an insurance company that did their diligence and they wrote a check. Let's go forward.
I
and use
agree.
best
And that's why I'm
I
pushing
mean, I
the
think
point.
that's the best argument about nobody being at fault, what you said. Insurance will not pay if you're at fault.
Right.
And they've paid, so.
Anything? Thank you.
No,
We're here every
thank you.
month.
Really, really helpful. Thank you very much. I learned a lot.
We'll be talking about it again next month, so if you wanna join
You
us.
come back anytime.
Summer.
We're a good time.
Okay, let's keep going.
No, you can invite them to stay for the next.
Oh, that goes without saying. Item A on our agenda, we moved to the, consider act on the adoption of a pool water discharge policy and rate structure. This has come out of our discussions with Sacred Heart University that built some therapy pools and a swimming pool, and they don't want to discharge into the public watershed, and there's been some back and forth on this. John, why don't you tell us what the current kind of state of conversation is?
I came up with this rough draft on how to discharge pool water, and I sent that to them. And they sent me back a notice to say that they will dechlorinate all the water to less than 1 part per million before discharge, which is something we asked for. They'll notify the town a week before. The university will drain water 2 to 3 times a year for routine maintenance. They will drain 1 tub at a time. The main tub is 3,100 gallons. It drains to a sump. There's a pump at the bottom of the sump that pumps the water to us. It'll take 62 minutes to drain. The other one is 595 gallons. That'll take 12 minutes. The other one is 687, will take 14 minutes. So in my eyes, dechlorinated water, they let us know, we give the yes or no, they tell us when they're gonna do it, we're gonna be at the station watching it. Once we start getting into Olympic-sized swimming pools and stuff, then maybe we gotta look at amending that. So, this is their proposed method of
Okay.
doing it.
So that's a nice outcome to the number of conversations we've had amongst ourselves on this. But this wouldn't just be for Sacred Heart, this would be for the Y and for Fairfield U and for others,
Mm-hmm.
So any commercial,
yeah, who don't wanna talk to us right now, so
Right.
they're probably not doing this. So here's our opportunity to create a policy and a standard for all those who discharge pool water.
Commercial pool water,
Yeah.
not residential.
No, not resident.
So the policy,
that's it.
the policy on residential would remain, we don't handle it.
No.
There's a cost opportunity here too, where, I mean, generally,
Yeah, so let's talk a bit about that, because in trying to frame it, so they bring the water in from Aquarion, so it's gonna show up and we're gonna charge for that, right? Everyone
Yeah.
tracking with me?
Sure.
Okay.
unless they,
Unless it's
Wait a minute, I
trucked
heard two different things from John. One is they've got a sump pump that's pumping it through the pipes, and the other was trucking it to us. There's
Well,
two different.
No, I'm talking about the water coming in.
Oh, in.
Yeah.
Okay, so the water coming in is
And
gonna
the cost
generate a bill, a sewer bill.
Sewer bill.
Okay. We're now then gonna talk about charging for that water. You're making a face.
Yeah, I disagree with that premise. Go ahead.
No, well, it's an important premise, so let's talk about it.
Okay,
depends
Are
on how
we-
they're
are we-
filling the pool for water.
yeah, are we changing the way we are going to calculate the water usage? Because we use December, January, February, March, April. When are they filling? If they're in any of those months, filling their pools, then we're not charging them
That's
for
a
the
good
water.
point.
Or if they're trucking in water to
Or if
fill
they're
it.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
Well, I don't worry about trucking, but I mean,
Yeah, no,
your point was Aquarius.
No, that's a really good point. That's one of the issues with not going a 12 gallon, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so let's put that aside for
but
a
since
second.
it's commercial, can't we go outside of what we do for residential anyway?
Well, look, we're gonna talk about a more commercial policy for the town. And we haven't gone in that direction because there's some software billing issues. But clearly, our commercial customers require more support than the average residential user. And this is a case in point. We've talked about this for at least 5 meetings now. Sacred Heart and Fairfield U are here often. They require more services. And Joe's point's an excellent point. If they're bringing in that water, let's say in the summertime, then that's not showing up on their bill. And so I don't know why we would use a seasonality factor with commercial customers.
It's a different policy. Right.
Well, so,
Correct.
but next year, I think that's front and center on our radar. So we may or may not be charging them for the water they're taking in, but now we're gonna talk about charging them for the water that's coming out. And, our CCF charge right now is, comes out to be about, somebody can check my math on this, but about a bit over a penny per gallon.
Okay.
It doesn't seem right. I'm gonna check myself on that. So conceptually, we have to think about this water coming out, what do we wanna charge on I wanna stick to CCS because that's just, I think, the common measurement unit that we use. You know, if, that's what the discussion should be tonight.
What does it then look like with each pumping out total, with this price?
Well,
breakdown?
this price is 25 times what, I mean, this was just a placeholder.
Okay,
I don't,
yeah,
Yeah, I just threw numbers in there for
Okay,
whatever
so-
arbitrary reason.
or maybe it's not. I mean,
I was saying, do you work
I'm not-
backwards to get to what a number seems,
I'm
that
not-
seems rational?
I'm not coming in with,
Yeah.
with a
A
number in
preconceived
mind.
idea.
Well, the other, I mean, not to steer away from that, but John, you had mentioned not sure whether or not we would want this same policy for Olympic-sized pools. So do we need to put a threshold on the,
I think so.
max volume?
I think so, because if somebody wants to drain 15,000 well, that's, you know, a whole different story.
Right.
So, do we cap it at 3,100 gallons?
And then same with the, point two on here, neutralizing chlorine concentrations, we wanna put that less than 1 part per million or
Yeah.
whatever our threshold is
Yep.
for that.
And our ability to monitor that is by virtue of the fact that water is being introduced through the sewage system and not the storm drain. I mean, I'm thinking myself, if it's dechlorinized, is there any, and we're comfortable with that, do we necessarily need it to come through the sewer system?
I could say the Conservation Division is not comfortable with.
Having walked at Mohegan Lake, 2 days ago, talking to Nancy, I don't want 4,000 gallons
Yeah.
coming out of that pool into that watershed.
Well,
God forbid.
but take Tom's point, then have them truck it. I mean, the point is, that you could put it in the ground, they could put it in our sewer, or they could truck it to us.
I gotta tell you, I view this as a revenue opportunity.
That's what I was saying.
See, I'm not viewing it as revenue.
Well, there's,
No.
That's
so,
why, that's
Yeah.
why.
if it's dechlorinated, it's the equivalent of hitting our system as infiltration rate.
Right,
I mean, there's, which, if it's,
Taxes the system.
if it's timed right, it has no
No
impact
effect
on
at all.
us whatsoever. Right?
Right, they're
Yeah.
gonna coordinate with us, and if it's not good for us, they're not gonna do it.
Right, I mean, obviously, yeah, if they're trying to do it during a heavy rainstorm,
Right.
then yes, it could tax us.
But also, it's, you argue that that's overhead and cost, so that's why you can rationalize.
Well, I
Cost
argue,
opportunity.
I'm not sure how he bills it, how he collects it. You're creating an entire new process in John's office.
If we don't have, we
It
don't
would
have meters.
normally be billed as a sewer usage.
Unless
so
it's
like-
just a flat fee of $500, I'm making it up.
You
but a
still
flat-
have to send an invoice to them to pay it,
Yeah,
and
but they still have to
send you a
let
check.
us know that they're doing it.
That's
so
an
they-
easier way to
Right,
do
well, I'm
it,
saying-
handling like a permit,
Yeah,
a
but,
discharge permit. So it's a flat fee, one-time type
well,
of.
Right,
well,
so you're not
that's where I was
measuring-
going.
Or not even
I'm-
necessarily one
I
time,
am
but at
trying
least
to
when-
minimize the amount of work, billing, everything, so
Joe,
I'm
why don't you
saying
tell
from
us
a-
where your endpoint is?
So my endpoint is, we take and we give them each year a bill, an annual bill. I mean, we have to meet all the qualifications, dechlorination, the amount of, but they can make an estimate, how much they're gonna send us, and we give them a bill once, when we bill in October.
Yep.
We collect it through the tax collector, there's no additional paperwork from our part. That's where I'm going, then it's just basically a fixed, we gotta come up with a fixed number to charge them, just to simplify the entire billing
And that-
collection process.
And that bill would include 2 times a year.
Include whatever you would like.
Yeah, I'm just
However we
saying.
wanna craft it.
Right.
Yes, would they need a separate permit for that? So I would have to create a separate permit for them to.
I would think so, because
There-
Probably the
now it's by
easiest way to
meter, it wouldn't be on a water meter
Right,
like you do today.
Right.
Your customers each have a water meter with a number on
Okay,
it,
so
so you'd have to create,
Right.
Yeah.
There's an MIU, I forget what it is, but
that's good.
Miscellaneous-
Definition of it.
Yeah, I was curious what that meant.
so, as a matter of fact, I didn't bring it, but they sent it with their policy, the MIU, to say that they're going to be giving us this amount of water every year.
Right.
It's something they have to file through the state.
And based on that, we give them a charge, one-time charge,
Right.
and you can monitor
What's your
it.
number?
I have no number,
Well,
but
how do we act on that?
$10,000. One time, once a year, they can pay us $10,000.
I like it.
Up to a certain amount, and then if we're even willing to
Well-
accept the
well, yeah.
higher, the bigger pool,
Good
then that
point.
would be a tier.
$10,000 up until what they're telling us they're gonna give us this year, and then we'll have it another level from 11,000 to, from whatever water level is to next, 15,000, and the next one, 20,000. So
And so this is for Fairfield U and the Y and,
this is for anybody who files, or they wanna, whoever wants it. I mean, if he can take it, I'm saying make it
No,
one fixed cost.
I think that fair is fair, and somebody's gotta have a conversation with the Y about,
That's a big nugget, so the why all of a sudden just,
it's an important as we think about other constituents who are
Well, I
impacted.
threw 10,000 out, maybe that's the wrong number.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, that was my number.
I know that the Y drains their pool a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Drain it into like.
Speaking of-
But not enough. So the Y is chlorinated water, but it's still going into the storm drains, 'cause they drain it out.
We don't care, we don't care, it goes into that damn, and Long Island Sound, we don't care about that, only Mark.
don't get started on Ugly road.
I'm just saying.
Joe, this is being recorded now.
Okay, sorry. Sheila, strike that.
Okay, so we're so close. We have the kind of the qualitative component, I think, is working. The quantitative, my number that popped into my head was 5,000 per permit. How did-
That was my number.
That was your number.
That was my number.
Tom, what's your number?
I'm good with 5 for now, but I'd like to just look at some things maybe and to say, you know, is this consistent with what they would otherwise would pay or had paid in the past? Some kind of track record that I can hang my hat on, but right now,
We don't have anything.
okay, then 5's the goodest number as we have. I don't have a reason to push back on it.
They just build the pools and what do you think?
I mean, if we're just guessing a number today, then I'm fine with it. I would be curious to know how much effort goes into the process of, confirming the chlorine contents prior to what's all the administrative work in addition to whatever clean water is costing John at the treatment plant? Obviously the whole goal of charging is to offset the cost.
And by the
So,
way,
knowing what those costs are is a good step.
but couldn't we in the thing make them, have to deliver a certificate of
Yeah.
proof? So we don't have to add a layer of staff or,
If we're doing, most.
that could be part of the criteria, is like to
I don't know
get-
what they have as far as, commercial test kits and that kind of stuff, but yeah,
But
I guess that,
let them eat the cost.
Ask them to certify it,
for sure, yeah.
sign off on it.
That reduces our
That's what I'm saying,
overhead for
like, try
sure.
to take away
Yeah,
our
exactly.
overhead costs, and what
Right.
it really is about the
At
annual.
that point, then, yeah, it's really just, it's basic administration plus whatever the cost is
They
of
probably have a chemistry.
not having to treat,
And I
or
would say,
treating clean water.
They do.
two questions I would have is, does that include, again, in the case of the Y, who is draining more often? Is it up to a certain number of drainings per year?
Well, that's what
So is
Yeah.
it,
5,000 is up to whatever we decide.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And then there's 10,000 for the next level and 15 for the next.
and but size two coming into,
Well, they're gonna do it by measuring the amount of water,
Total annual,
total annual liquid coming into us.
and is there a time of year that we would wanna limit when they can drain, or are there
I think this,
times when where we shouldn't have it, more blackout dates that don't work?
well, this.
I don't think it matters other than storms.
It's actually
right?
not that,
Wanna-
not nearly as much
I don't-
water as I thought that it was
Yeah.
gonna be.
I think we just wanna
3,100
avoid rain.
gallons.
Yeah.
That's like my teenagers taking a shower.
I know that feeling with my kids.
Seems, do we have to vote on anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we acting?
We do have that in front of us.
Since this isn't with our input, it's not a final draft, do we?
I've got a number of questions if we're to the thing, picking up on Mark. Policy for swimming pool, I think we need a definition of what we're talking about here, because when you went through all those numbers of what they wanna do, none of that was a swimming pool. Was it? It sounded like tubs, athletic tubs, a hockey rink, or this or that.
Yeah,
I think our definition shouldn't be swimming pool, it should be for discharges to the Fairfield sanitary sewer system, taking the word swimming pool out.
Yeah, like large volume.
Right, yeah, large
Commercial,
volume.
I mean,
Commercial,
let's
large
pick up a
volume.
word here, commercial.
residential.
I think we need to get a definition of what we're talking about as the first step, and then just MIUGP, it's gotta be spelled out, I have no idea. It's got a lot of little additions in there. What is an MIUGP? That must represent some kind of form.
Miscellaneous industrial user general
I knew he knew.
permit.
Miscellaneous.
Don't take that as gospel, but
Well,
I'm
it
pretty
could be,
sure
I mean, it doesn't have to.
That seems right.
Unit,
Miscellaneous industrial use.
I missed that.
General permit.
general
Let's guess it.
Because
permit, okay?
car dealerships have to
We're
do
doing
it,
a
car washes have
policy,
to
we
do it.
gotta spell it out.
All right, so it doesn't sound like we're gonna land on this tonight. So we're 8:10, and we still have a lot in front of us. So maybe we move this, we get some greater clarity on it. John, I'm happy to work with you on a revised draft of this and bring it back to December.
You know, Mark, what I'm thinking, I mean, is there a reason to recreate the wheel here? There's probably other municipalities who've gone through.
Shockingly, very few.
They don't allow,
They don't
they
allow
don't
it.
allow swimming pools to be.
Silly me.
Yeah, no,
We're close though, we're close.
Tom, we've spent so many meetings on this that
I hear you.
let's,
Yeah, we're close,
yeah, let's,
Flat rate, come up with the
Yeah.
maximum volume or the tiers and all that, and I think.
And minimize the administrative overhead to
Yeah,
us,
exactly.
and any,
I like the
I like that.
one-time fee
Yeah.
goes out and,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah.
User
John,
provides.
Give them my notes.
yeah, that one is a
And
good
don't
one,
use
yeah.
your email address, we must have a more general, like, plant email address.
Devonzo at,
Yeah, don't
Can I
give them
share
mine.
We have,
Hold on, Mr. Chairman, I think we need a motion.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it said to act on adoption of
Yeah.
pool water so I'd like to make a motion to defer consider an act on adoption of a pool water discharge policy and rate structure to a date certain of, what do you need, a month, two?
Let's,
Meeting, I think, right?
We,
December, let's do it.
okay, December, our December
What,
meeting,
which is when, just to make sure?
third Wednesday, which would be about the
19th,
19th,
somewhere around there.
Christmas.
Okay.
It is,
Let's try and maintain the momentum.
it's
We're close
21st.
here. We're
21st?
close.
21st.
Nice.
That's good. Wow.
I'm away.
Yeah. I'll bring cookies.
Oh, you have eight?
No, but,
Okay.
I'll have my wife say it.
I mean, I can make it a date certain of January if you'd like.
no, December.
December,
We're gonna get this done this year.
Okay.
And if there's an appetite to move,
Thank you.
if there's an appetite to move the December meeting to December 14th to a special, just saying, putting that out there.
Well,
So it's not
we can make our
so-
December meeting and a special, put both on the same agenda,
Actually, on that
if you
point,
like.
so.
Wait, was there a second?
I did
no.
second it.
Yeah.
And I
Okay,
was
compensation. Okay, great.
Yes, are we in discussion?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as far as trying to do the funding for the digester, are we gonna wait until we receive bids on or about
No.
the 13th, or are we gonna try to do our meeting ahead of time?
Ahead of time.
Okay, and then do we have any idea of what a not to exceed number is then, that we wanna use for that? Cause that's the only issue.
Bill Hurley
with
with CR,
bids.
can he come, you think he could?
Same thing we did on
Did you show
the,
him the
Exceed
picture?
1.5 million or something like that.
it'll be the same,
You know what, I'll reach out to Dennis and ask him.
the same exercise
What do
we
you
did
think?
on the East Trunk.
Could I also
Guess the
say
number.
that whatever it is, we just,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
and then just with the understanding that we really are not gonna spend what we don't have to.
I guess, oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think you were saying you were gonna ask Dennis, I think ahead of that meeting,
Yeah,
let's
if he
just
can
at least
give us-
get some sort of a ballpark number from them, and then we bump it up at least.
Maybe, hopefully,
20%.
when we got that first bid, that
That's okay.
2.7 that was rejected,
Yeah.
did that have it broken out cleaning, repair?
Yes.
Did it have repair bolts?
Okay.
I'm just trying to get a.
Inflation,
no,
let's just-
Okay,
yeah.
so,
Okay,
so
no,
the motion is continuing this to the December meeting.
Right.
Correct.
And we don't know about the date. Can we just leave it open?
Yeah,
December
Yeah,
meeting?
December meeting.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, let's keep going. Next, discuss and approve funding for Phase 5 of
Okay,
the INI.
I'd like to make a motion to move this agenda item to May, date certain, May 2023 meeting. That's when Dennis said he'd have his results and he'd have a conclusion for us. Is that still valid?
I think you wanna probably go to July or August.
All right, let's go to August. Let me amend that. Discuss and approve funding for Phase 5 INI rehabilitation work. Move to a date certain of August 2023. Yeah, he was supposed to have his.
No, he's referencing last year what was done.
Oh,
in March,
So,
April,
well,
we'll
see,
do.
that's what he said. See, that's what
Yeah,
I thought,
April,
April.
May,
That's,
June,
yeah, that's,
Yeah, but everything is not gonna be completed by March and April, and then they gotta compile it all up. And I think towards the end, he says July or August.
okay, so it's July.
There you go, okay.
Okay, the motion says the date certain of July
July
2023.
23. Second, Matt, all in favor?
I,
Next item,
Well, number D.
to hear, consider, and act on a request for funding for construction administration, daily and specialized inspection, and redesigned services during construction.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Sir,
I'd like to cancel this item as we approved last month, this amount of $500,000 for this very project. It
okay.
was completed last month. It was on the agenda twice last month. We got to this one, we moved it forward to a date certain.
That's right.
Nobody recognized it was, remember last month, we
Yeah.
had
I
Joe
was gonna say, I thought
interrupted?
this is a
We did-
$685,000 item
Well,
from
we approved it
D&B,
for
right?
500, the exact wording we approved for 500. If you look at
Oh,
our
right, yeah,
minutes,
that-
so.
Right.
Okay, motion to cancel, second?
Second.
Matt, all in favor?
I,
Okay,
Okay.
that's it.
We have, moving forward, we have an update on the current projects. We're gonna view this in light of, there's been some discussion on the capital, expense waterfall report. I believe that Joe is attending a meeting tomorrow on that with Jared and John. God bless you.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and I,
If anyone else is interested,
Connie.
yeah.
so we were at a, can I just explain?
Please, yes.
Because we were at a Board of Selectmen meeting where we were approving, I'm having a moment. What went before the Board of Selectmen last?
East Trunk Wetlands.
East Trunk, the East
$1.5
Trunk,
million.
the $1.5 million for East Trunk. And, that prompted one of the selectmen, it prompted Tom Flynn to ask for an overall accounting of our plan and how we were paying for things, and Jared was there, but did not report on information. So it prompted them to say, come back to us with a complete report. So Joe has done that. So now we'll report to them, and
we're gonna meet tomorrow and have this discussion.
presumably, if they need it at the Board of Selectmen level,
I will attend and I will present.
okay,
We will come to agreement. These are, I have their new numbers, which are different than the numbers we walked away from at the last meeting with them. We all had agreed, I thought, obviously I was incorrect with that thinking. They
Well-
created a different worksheet with different numbers.
so,
Similar, but.
but this body had approved a certain, and had submitted it.
No.
We don't approve.
Well, not that we approved it,
No.
but you had submitted for information purposes, and so they came back and said, you have to adjust. They looked at it and said, nah, moving around here.
I wasn't, when you say they, please use names.
Yeah, you're right,
pronouns.
Jared,
No, Jared never came, but we had a meeting.
because wasn't it Jared that said the numbers were different, though?
Yes.
So then who-
Because we had a meeting, we agreed to the numbers, Bill Hurley was there, Jared, Connie,
Yes,
and this was issued by Connie. Okay, these were the numbers, we agreed, these are the numbers we agreed. However, these numbers are different than the numbers
That's what I'm
Jared
asking.
just sent me.
how,
They changed,
they
he
just
changed
had,
them.
so,
He changed them. We didn't-
on
we didn't-
town
we
side, they
didn't-
looked at it, whatever the
Right.
mechanism was, and said, we need, okay.
Their process changed
Got it.
numbers, now we gotta go back and talk to them about the changed numbers, make sure we at least have enough. I mean, these are directional numbers, and obviously the waterfall is directional.
Yep.
So when they and the town changes numbers, that's Marsilio and Bill Hurley and John kind of getting together and saying,
That's what I'm trying to understand.
John was not included, but it's definitely Jared.
you're gonna be there tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Joe's going, I'm
We had
going.
the right people, when we met with them, we had the
Who's the
people.
wingman?
The only, we have so many big things coming up, and there's a lot of, so the question is, when it was submitted and discussed, they were based on what we thought we needed as a body
Right.
to accomplish.
Right, these numbers that we discussed with them were the numbers, and this is
Right,
what
so
we
the
thought
question is-
time-wise and number-wise.
Is it gonna be a push then to revert, is that
No, we
the
have to,
conversation,
we
or
have
it's
to,
just
we have to
figure out?
discuss why they changed this number from that to that, what was their thinking, we haven't heard their thinking. When we met the first time, we gave them what we thought our schedule was and our thinking of, Bill Hurley was there, what
Right.
the cost would be. They walked away with that, sent us this as what we thought was the final,
Right,
but then, when you had your meeting on Monday, it turned out it wasn't the final.
right.
Is it a difference of a couple million or
That's-
20 million?
Yeah.
A couple,
There's no total.
okay, so a couple million. But Nancy, just so you know, we've been doing this year after year. I went to a Tom Flynn Board of Finance meeting that Joe sat behind me and fed me all the answers a couple of years ago. Now Joe just goes.
Yeah. We cut out the middle.
Yeah.
So when I said I wasn't comfortable answering at the Board of Selectmen table, and I said, Joe, that was
Yeah.
appropriate?
Yeah, of course. Joe knows.
That's true.
You know, it's like 100 million. It's always 100 million
Yeah.
on the horizon.
Okay,
You know,
You know, Mark is not wrong, it's 110 million is our latest number.
yeah, it's always,
110.3.
5 years from now.
That's with the
it'll be
treatment
100
plant.
million. That's
Sorry?
the pipe.
Is that with the treatment plant?
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's the big
That's the
number.
biggest part.
Yeah, the treatment plant is like 60, 70.
Yeah, exactly.
With 70 if you think the design and everything.
100. What I got from the Board of Selectmen meeting last Monday was he wanted a plan as to how we were going to build the fund to meet these lofty
Yeah, right.
goals.
that was my next point.
Right,
And
which is what I sent out, if you saw, using the original capital numbers that we had agreed on, I sent out, and the timeframe, I sent out a spreadsheet to everybody that showed where we were spending our 13.7 million, how we're bringing in more the following year. But I have to update that because they have new numbers and they might have moved some of the projects around. But that's what he was looking for. And if I was there Monday, I would have presented that, would have been the wrong numbers because I didn't realize
Yeah.
to change it. But that's what they're looking for. How are you using the 13.7 to support and capital? What is the
But
combination?
also adding back as it's being taken
And each-
away. to
And
spend.
each year we put another million in to our fund.
And I think he was looking for that specifically,
Yeah,
so.
and I could have
yeah.
done that, it would have been the wrong numbers, but it would have gotten
I'll tell
him,
you,
I think it would have gotten him what he wanted.
There's a bit more to it, because there's always this undercurrent of, don't increase rates to stockpile money if you're not gonna spend it.
Right.
Because then bad things happen to that money. So, but someone also needs to know that at some point in time, that money's going to be bonded,
Right,
and rates are gonna go from in the 4s to in the 6 or 7s, unless there's some tiered commercial residential breakout
mhm.
to soften that. That's, I
And the
mean, that
spend
may
down,
be
I mean, we'll have to spend
unsaid,
down,
but
that's just the reality.
that's a core thrust of these
Yeah.
In
conversations.
2026, we run out of money, because that's the first year we're seeing the plant
Right.
theoretically.
You have 53 seconds.
Oh, my goodness. You're right.
We did that you did that exercise when we were discussing rate increases
Yes,
2 years ago.
yes, that was
Right.
And
the
we
bigger
did it again this
That was the
year.
bigger
Right,
swing.
yeah.
The projects changed, the numbers changed.
Right,
Numbers all went up, actually.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now we're in 2026, we're out of money, rather than they're not doing it.
And so we've been doing, though, our, like, roughly 5% increases to try to avoid
That's
that
offset.
gigantic
Well, you can't,
Part of our logic.
by the way, you
Yeah.
can't avoid it, the reality
No,
is there's a lot there.
I think this
And-
is the most responsible way to address paying
And to
funding
me, it's just
large.
about sort of saying whatever that elephant in the room is. It's not an
Right.
elephant, we're spending the money because we have to.
Right.
We're not gonna build it back in that way, and we just have to be comfortable saying that, because that's the reality and it's the responsible way to do it, so. I just didn't say it, because you weren't there.
Okay, so that's a good segue into the update on the current projects. Mark.
As always, the Harding project is almost done, not quite there yet.
Where's Chris?
Not
Take
quite
it
there yet. Obviously, the microgrid is not done. I'll give you the monthly thing. The transformer's supposed to ship next month, so
Santa?
everything else is ready to go as far as that goes, but we're just waiting on that. And, the digester's almost cleaned. We already went through that.
How's the Ash Creek pipe doing? We got the money approved.
We got the money approved barely through Board of Selectmen. There was the 45-minute dissertation on that. So it's going to the Board of Finance next Tuesday,
Okay,
and then the RTM the following Monday, I think, the 28th.
okay,
So,
that's good, it's moving.
Can I, when they have to go through the various bodies, it may be very helpful for like the four bulleted, I hate to say the dumbed down version, but I kind of mean it, for most people on the RTM, because they really, I think most people don't actually know what we're talking about.
She's gone.
No, I mean, with all due respect, it's like, unless you're in the weeds on it, I don't think
Yeah.
people really understand, and so I think the request to go along, and even at the Board of Selectmen level, because it may offset some of the questions that come, you know, the four lay bullets of what it is and why might be super, super helpful. Just a thought.
Okay, so once the RTM, and then I'm on the Ash Creek Pipe, approves it, last approval,
yep.
we're ready to go. Who's running lead on that project? You?
No,
Okay, good.
No, that's Bill Hurley and Mega.
Okay.
They're still back and forth with D&B. Lorero is having a hard time coming up with as-built and all this other stuff, and there's a lot of back and forth emails that, at the 12th hour, it's a little disheartening because
Yeah.
they don't have their stuff together, but,
So how did we get our number if they're still designing?
well, they're
Excuse
not,
me,
they're not designing, they don't have all
Can't be
the
more.
information. So,
we can't put a big enough number on a piece of paper anymore.
and if we gotta go back for more money, God help us.
Oh,
It's like
I'm resigning.
300 feet, right?
Yeah, it's,
313 feet.
yeah.
I think if it's any more, D&B has to pay for it.
That's all I got on current projects.
What, I went
enough.
by the Easton Pump Station the other day, and there's a generator there. What's that about?
Yeah, as I mentioned, and we approved funding for a portable, 2 months after the station went online, that generator failed. Cummins is still waiting on a part. That is a rental. And as I mentioned, in every generator warranty, rentals are not included. Cummins is picking up the tab on this one, because at this point, we're up to about $40,000 in rental fees. So there's been 3 attempts at fixing it, and they're still, they gotta wait on another board or something.
Did you order our portable one?
No, I still gotta go to the boards yet.
Oh, jeez. For 150,000?
125, yeah.
What's your limit to have to go to the board?
$1? If you're spending more than $1 that wasn't in your budget, you gotta go.
Oh,
The efficiency of public sector,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And
We can't do anything
Just
about
keep
that.
paying for that rental.
right?
Can we
Which-
change that?
which thankfully, we're not paying for.
Can
because-
we put in a line item in next year's budget for emergency repairs or something, for like 200,000?
That's a good idea.
Even 150.
Yeah, well,
I mean, yeah,
but it's gotta go through all the,
Anything.
what, it's gonna go through all the boards, and they're gonna bless it or not.
Well, that brings to mind digester two.
Yeah.
I suggested to John, and now that it's on the table for projects, should we put in $350,000 to a clean out of digester two in his operating budget?
Yeah, without question. Otherwise,
Okay,
everyone
so-
will be second guessed.
So your logic and my advice
Okay,
is confirmed, we should do it.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll
In
talk
fact,
to
we
Frank
might
tomorrow.
give
And
naming
install or
rights to that
replace the
digester.
pressure
Oh.
tank.
I think of it every time I flush my toilet, so it'd only be appropriate.
You're a septic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't think about it. Okay.
It's a mini digester.
Yeah, 2 members of it. Tom, are you septic too?
No, it's
No?
not me.
That's all
I
right.
think
Two of us are septic.
I had some
Okay.
metalwater back into
I've-
my house right before, Richard White, retired, and I asked him, he's so funny, there was a grease ball in the line.
Yeah.
And, I said to Richard, kind of tongue in cheek, you know, I said, you know, I think this is the last time my line is gonna be cleaned out under your supervision. I get a little misty, and he says, me too.
Okay, so update on current projects. Any sewer bypasses?
One wasn't ours, but we stopped it. The service line from the rest area on I-95 heading southbound backed up. Somebody called it in, our crew went out there, saw it was coming from the service connection manhole for the McDonald's. We tried to contact somebody, we didn't get anybody, we broke it. We flushed it to stop it, and I've since had a conversation, we have all contact with the state and everything, so. We did file a bypass, but that was since rescinded and put on Connecticut DEP.
That's another,
Friends from, Save the Sound will not be, happy with
I guess that's just another example
Yeah.
of commercial clients needing
Yeah,
extra work.
special work.
And they have flushless toilets, so they don't even use that much water.
Yeah.
Let me, before we adjourn, mention that next month, well, our last meeting, you know, I think next month or a special meeting, whenever we feel suit, we have election of officers and meeting dates for the next year. I'll say that I'm coming into my last year on the WPCA. There are certain things I'm pretty passionate about trying to get done, like this tiered pricing and getting the Ash Creek line underway. I don't need to be chairman to do that. I would say on any given day, there's probably 5 emails that come through on the committee. With thanks to Joe, it's kind of a full-time job.
It really does take up your time, believe it or
don't
not.
want it.
I mean, I serve on the weekend.
I'm saying that, I think there needs to,
Wanting it.
no, I'm saying
Say what you mean, man.
no, I'm saying that we're not having the discussion. I just think that there needs to be we should give some thought to, you know, more commission involvement, whether that's in helping to set the agenda or prepping, you know, helping John with the RTM bullet points. I've asked Matt to get, run point on that really good conversation we had with Woodard and Curran, which I still don't understand half of what we talked about. But it seemed like that was one of the more efficient,
Yeah, it was a good meeting.
town meetings I've ever been a part of, where we had some outside engineers come in and talk about some optionality relative to the Metro Center, which there was none. But maybe on Ash Creek, there may be some optionality there, maybe
It
not.
seemed like because of the slope,
Yeah,
we're limited.
yeah.
That's actually,
Yeah, we felt really good about getting told no. But
well,
at
they
least,
actually had good excuses.
Yes,
or
which we didn't
rationale
have
behind,
that.
which
Yeah.
before it was
They
just
backed
like,
it up.
no, you can't do it. Well,
They backed
why?
it up,
Didn't really feel like looking into that.
yeah, so I left that meeting thinking, okay, that's a rational reason why we can't do,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, directional drilling.
Right.
So, I love being on this commission. To me, it's kind of what government should be. It's, we cover a lot of ground, and, we'll leave it at that.
We love you, so we want you to be chairman.
No, we'll have that conversation.
And, you know, it's just as long as we're all having a moment.
Come on, yeah.
It is, you know, in my last year in this position, I hope to create and be more invested and involved in the last year. I've kind of hit my stride in terms of understanding how it works. So, you know, now that meetings are back in person, I pledge to really, I do have a busy work life, but, I'm really invested in it being present at the meetings because I do think it makes a difference. And if there's an efficient way to be a helpful pipeline, happy to do that and want to do that and try to leave a legacy of good process, at least for the liaison position. That won't change in the next year, because the charter hasn't changed. There's no change in the structure of it. So if we can put great processes in place, that's helpful, because I do think that this is like the best use of public service, this commission is
Yeah, gets on.
so important, so.
Yeah, liaising with other groups and just letting us, that, like, tonight's meeting was a great example that we're not this rogue body.
Yeah.
With our own agenda, doing our own
Exactly.
roguish things, yeah, right? And a master plan that came up in the Woodard and Curran, and if you could think about allocating some of your free time. I mean, we need one.
Yeah, I'm the one who's
RFP it.
need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't
We
do
should-
it.
We shouldn't
Are you
spend
willing?
time on the, treatment plant, at least, I mean, beyond, as far as capital, until we've actually thought about what we wanna be in 10, 20 years.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that. That to me is a big to-do for next year.
Yeah.
2023. Okay, motion to adjourn? Matt, second by Tom.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone, for being here.